So in this video on opportunity related functionality within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for sales, we're going to cover off the stakeholders and sales team areas on an opportunity. Now, this is one instance we've done specifically on opportunity related functionality in Dynamics. You can see a playlist below with others in the series. Also, if you've got suggested content ideas or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. Anyway, let's go into the system. I'll show you what I mean by the stakeholders and sales team areas. So I'm in the opportunities area. Specifically, I've opened up a pretty much out of the box opportunity. I might have tweaked this slightly with the odd field here and there, but it's pretty much as it comes out of the box. And you'll see if I scroll down a little bit, I've got two, what they might call subgrids that appear in the sort of bottom right hand quadrant. Now, stakeholders, which is the first of them, is effectively the people on the client side who are involved in making the decision on this particular opportunity, and the sales team is the people on our side who are involved in this particular sale, and that's what those two areas track. So you can see stakeholders are already populated with one name, Bob Smith, and it's picked up Bob just because Bob's the main contact on that, and then he's automatically assigned as a stakeholder as a result. But I can add to that if I want to. If I click on the three dots there, a little bit confusing because it says make a new connection. Well, that's add a new stakeholder. I'll explain connections in a moment. And let's say that we want to find Paul Cannon, and let's add Paul in. So now we've got two stakeholders, and automatically out of the box it assigns the role, if you just see that there, as being stakeholder. So I can add as many of those as I want because there might be quite a few people on the client side involved in making the decision. They might work at the organization itself the opportunity is for, but they might be external, consultants, but that doesn't matter. We can add them as stakeholders. Now, I've also got a sales team, so that's our team that's working on this. So it might be a main salesperson. There might be a pre-sales consultant. There might be somebody involved in creating requests for proposal responses. So we might have a number of people involved in this particular opportunity. So if I want to add a new connection, this one, instead of the other one, is looking at user records. And if I want to add myself to that, I can just click on that, and Richard Boardman is added as a sales professional. And that is kind of how that works. It's really basic. And out of the box, if you're a stakeholder, it gives you this role of stakeholder. And if you're the sales team, it gives you that stakeholder role as sales professional. So I guess for a lot of people, you maybe don't need these features. In truth, a lot of opportunities that we track might be fairly straightforward. We don't necessarily need to understand who's going to be, the range of people involved in the decision on the client side. And it might just be a single salesperson on our side, in which case, if it's not useful, kind of get rid of it. Let's not clutter up the screen with stuff we're not really using. It's not particularly useful for us. That's just distracting. However, there will be some people who are working on large, complex opportunities, and they really want to track who's involved in making the decision on the client side and what their attitude is to us as a potential supplier. And they may well want to track, because they have a lot of people involved on this particular sale, and we want to know who is involved in what role. So that's fine. The problem I have with this is, though it tracks the people involved, it doesn't really give them a role, and we don't really track things like their sort of attitude towards us as a supplier. So it's actually of fairly limited use. Now, what it is doing is actually using, in both cases, a system record type called connections, and connections can be used in a number of different ways. They're being used here for the stakeholders and sales team, but they can be used to connect any sort of record with any sort of record, so they have a wider role. You can change the setup of this so that when you add a connection, the user is prompted to specify a connection type, and we could set up a range of connection types. For example, the decision maker, the influencer, the external consultant, whatever it is that we want to put there. So we can do the same for the sales team as appropriate. So that's one way of addressing it. I do think that if you're using connections elsewhere within the system, that can be somewhat confusing. It's also not currently tracking perhaps some of the information that we might want to track about a decision maker and their disposition to us as a supplier. So I'm not sure, as Microsoft have this at the moment, it actually fully works. So I think if I were to be keen to track stakeholders and really understand them in more detail, I might dispense with connections. I might set up a custom sort of record type to replace that, where we've got a little bit more control about what information we capture there. And I might want to do the same for the sales team. So that's an option. Anyway, that's a quick run through the stakeholders and sales team feature on an opportunity record within Dynamics. As I say, it's one in a series we've done specifically on opportunity related functionality in Dynamics. You can see links to the playlist with all the other ones in the series below. Also, you're going to suggested content ideas, or you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today, and hopefully see you again soon.